Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again. And now you are live on the Ernie Chen show. As usual, every single week, as you're well aware, I bring on to my show movers and shakers of the business community, the entrepreneur community who look forward to watch the show to learn something amazing from the movers and shakers, people who actually literally move and shake the universe. And today I have exactly that special guest who can share with us how we ourselves as individuals who will not just accept our life fated by the way things are to be, but we can actually control our destinies. We decide on how we want things to be better. And of course, you are very, very fortunate today, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because I have an amazing special guest. In fact, I just attended his 3 days program right at home, and he actually saw this whole entire coming, and he built a whole entire studio right at his house. I believe it was his former master bedroom. So we'll find out a little bit more about that, how he was able to identify that. And you'll be wondering, who is this amazing person who could actually kind of predict with an intelligent guess what happens in the future? So before that, ladies and gentlemen, if you just come onto the Ernie Chen show live, brought to you right here from my home studio, please do tag and share and let as many people know. Come on to the show so that we can benefit more people, so that more people can be better prepared, get themselves out of the situation that they're in right now, because we know a lot of young individuals and old individuals are struggling, trying to get out of the situation that they're in. We also know a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners are looking for ways to get out of the current pandemic situation. We all are looking at it, and we think that we're going to be over and everything's going to get back to normal. We have all been hearing and we all know that new normal is now. New normal is the way we are living right now. So please do tag and share before I bring on this amazing special guest that's going to share a lot of little learning nuggets that we could actually put into practice to help us have a roadmap direction for the rest of 2020, because we just started June. And of course, we have 7 months before 2020 is over. A lot of people are so concerned and worried that, you know what, they may not even survive. And we are wanting to get out of this situation. How do we not just survive, sustain, grow, and also thrive for the rest of this year in 2020? Because it was meant to be Wawasan 2020 or Vision 2020. What has happened to our Vision 2020? Is it just going to be what it is now, or is it going to be better? So what can we do about it? And what are some of the things that we can put in place to have a better 2020? So of course, this person is all about energy, and I love energy, and even better when we can learn how to position things or to put ourselves in situations where we can have better energy to do better things. So ladies and gentlemen, please do tag and share and bring on as many people as you can to watch our show today, because right before the show, I did something special. I learned something from him, and immediately I counted down from 64 to 1. And you'll be wondering, what is this 64 to 1 thing? We shall ask him. I did it at the spot where we could get more attention, because attention is the currency of the future. So ladies and gentlemen, I know you're excited and you're definitely wanting to know who this individual that I've been fortunate to be able to invite onto the Ernie Chen show today to learn and also to share with everyone who's watching now live. Please do tag and share. And ladies and gentlemen, he is the world's leading authority of Feng Shui and Chinese metaphysics. He is definitely someone who's teaches to many, and a lot of other teachers have also shared about how amazing this person is. Ladies and gentlemen, may I bring to you and introduce to you and onto the Ernie Chen show, the personality and mover shaker of the universe, heavens, earth, and man. Ladies and gentlemen, Dato Joey Yap.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Ernie. Thanks so much for that introduction. Thank you.
I think you are an amazing, amazing young man. I should still say that. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. I just had an amazing 3 days learning from you. The last
Thank
3
you.
days, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that was the first time I saw you online. I didn't expect it to be a stand-up kind of a presentation. I thought it was going to be like a Zoom meeting sitting in front, but you went ahead and built this whole entire studio that created that live experience. I think that was amazing. So I want to start off by asking you the first question. How in the world were you able to foresee that such a situation would be needing that setup? And you spent about, I think, $500,000 putting that up. I heard that, right? So how did you foresee that coming?
Well, I didn't foresee the so-called COVID-19 the way it is, okay, but I do know that there was an urge for me to work from home and set up my own studio so I can actually film my online classes. So I actually did the whole thing up since last November. This is a very strong urge to do it. And that was against all my other company directors, recommendation, because we're just spending money for no reason, of course. Then it turns out that March onwards, the studio can be just converted into a live stream platform. And at that time, I was just broadcasting my events. I was just trying to see if it works, and it did. So wonderfully, I just have to walk across my unit to the next unit, and I could just work from home. So it turned out to be a good investment.
I think people would probably thought, Dato Joey Yap is shocked sendiri. He want to build this $500,000 studio in his house. 4 months ago, they probably don't know that was going to be happening. And is that how it usually works? Because I also heard about you saying that you are not the fortune teller. What you are is based on the stars and everything, you make an intelligent guess.
Intelligent guess. I think what we could sort of know is that the world is coming to a financial crisis that I think a lot of other people are also talking about it, but it's not well heard of because most people are going on the massive bull run, right? So in terms of transitioning, we know that in cycle of 9, tech is a big thing, and I'm always a person that's very interested in the latest tech. And online teaching is not the first time I'm doing it. I've been doing it for many years. It's just live stream in a studio with a stage setup. That is the first time. So it took some learning. I'm still learning how to do it, but I think I got used to it. And I think the students found it easy to learn watching me in front of their computer than to be on a live event, because sometimes they're very far away from stage. So that was about it, I think.
Do you foresee that it was just because of this pandemic that is so intensified? No. It's not a choice, but people, if they want to learn, they have to go online. And your studio is going to be used for probably the rest of this year. And everyone is just looking forward to go back out to normal life.
Yeah, I think we won't go back to normal after this, because people probably won't want to sit in the same hall, because my events, I don't know if you've been to my events, they are, it's like a concert, so it's, the last time we did January, it was 12,000 people. So I think that's sort of, you were there at the event, right? I was happy that event like that happened, but the cost of running such an event, firstly, is really high. And second thing, after the pandemic, before vaccine is created, I think a lot of people might be cautious, even though, the cases might be low, but people might be cautious. So the new norm would be, doing events live stream. So the new word for this is no longer webinars, but a live stream event. An event is different than a webinar. So this is something that I think will be the new thing for a lot of people. Now, of course, when you introduce something new, a lot of people might have a hesitation. I prefer to see it in person. But just like people learning how to use WhatsApp and using Zoom, right? It takes a bit of onboarding, right? After they onboard and they realize that this is the new thing, I think it will be the next big thing.
Do you think that because Dato Joey's name is such a big name, that's why transitioning to digital online platforms seems to pull in the crowd so quickly, so fast? Because
I think it's not like that. I think first of all, I don't think I have a big name. Second, in live stream is a question of whether people are used to watching something online. Okay, so I was thinking, if it was just like this sitting, here, it's going to be a problem to sit and talk. So for me, I want to simulate my actual stage. So I actually have a stage set up so I can walk around like how I normally do it. So I think if people see that, they have that, at least the impression that it looks more like an actual event than to sit down for like me talking in front of a screen. So that's the thing. So I think it's all about getting used to it. If they get used to it, they'll be all right.
Yeah, I think it was a matter of getting used to. And I was actually in both of your events 2 years in a row in FSA. And
right,
I think it was just getting bigger, and it's like a concert kind of experience. And I mean, you're being humble, because why? I don't think anyone can put up a speaking engagement show what you do, because it was about, I think, close to 12,000 people. I was there on both days, and Cantonese and also English.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, in certain ways, when I was watching last weekend on camera, when you were standing around, it kind of gave the same kind of experience, because when I was at a live event, I was also watching the screen.
Yeah. So I tried to simulate that, and hopefully it will work. And also because I think everything is about energy in some way. So even though we are using tech right now, but at the end of the day, a speech, and I'm sure you're very familiar speaking on stage and all that,
Yeah.
it's all about transferring feelings from the speaker to the audience. So if we could just transfer how we feel when we speak about a subject, I think our passion will be able to touch hearts. So if we could just do that even via a camera, in some ways, I think people can feel it. So this is what I'm experimenting with right now.
Okay. I think what I saw and what I experienced was something very interesting, because what I experienced was very much about the way you deliver your messages. Now, I am kind of like you in many ways also, you know, the four-letter word comes out off and on is very real. And
Yeah.
of course, you have two schools of thought: people who feel the authenticity of Joey Yap, and people who say, who the hell is this fella? And then you said something about, I mean, if you think something wrong is actually in your head. So I think it's very much of the engaging, the way that you engage with the people, and it's kind of funny, you know. So do you feel that?
I think, yeah, I think I just talk the way I want to talk, because I always say that if it's my own events, with the exception of being in FSA, which is a very public event,
Sure.
in most of my classes, I use some swear words, because that's how I talk to my friends, you know. So no, we don't use it to attack someone. We just use it because that's how we talk, to describe something, right? So I think some people might be offended, but then if they're so bothered by that, they are not interested in the content anyway. So it might be the wrong audience, you know. So I just say I believe that when we are speaking in public, you can either inform somebody something, or you can instruct, or you can entertain someone. But if you can do it all at the same time, you got to be able to speak their language. And so if you speak what they speak, people relate more. So I'm not a fan of using a lot of big, powerful words and all that, because people don't understand those words, but they do understand day-to-day language.
Now, I have a confession to make over here. Huh? I am someone who has never believed in Feng Shui, Jimen, Pachi. To me, it's all bullshit, right? For 44 years of my life, all this nonsense is just nonsense to me. And I totally just wanted to attend the FSA just to prove that Feng Shui is bullshit. And after I attended your FSA, it made so much logical sense as to someone like me who needed to prove that it was rubbish and bullshit, started to believe in the teaching. And I think it was very much about the way you shared the logical sense of how it makes sense from the heavens, the earth, and the man. I remember when I attended, the universe part was not there. So this year, I think you have kind of like added more content into it. I think that actually was something that you have also learned yourself to evolve. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think we have to evolve, first of all, because the traditional knowledge of Feng Shui, people have a preconceived idea of what it is. The moment you mention the word Feng Shui, they say, fuck, you know, I'm going to decorate my whole house again with shit. But it's not like that. So what the understanding of Feng Shui is all energy. The understanding of metaphysics itself is all energy. So, but if you look at our lives, right, everything that we want in our lives comes from some energy that we have to give. An idea requires energy of thought, right?
Yep.
Converting that thought into a reality, that requires energy. We go out to work, we are also giving parts of our energy. So if we are able to understand how energy works, and somehow maybe we use the word manipulate or transform or change it, then we are able to give more, output more, and create a better outcome. So the whole idea of so-called Feng Shui is just the name of a tool that we use to understand energy. So that's about it. In a nutshell, that's what it means.
So let's take it back to yourself. You know, when you picked up Feng Shui yourself in the earlier days. Now, obviously, when you were a student in Australia, your father wanted you to become an accountant. And you went in and studied, become an accountant, but you wanted to do something that you're passionate about. And when you started studying Feng Shui, you were obviously able to chart out your path of success quicker, faster than most people. I'm sure you also had challenges along the way of building your businesses, and you would have failed as well. So if you are practicing it and were able to see or make intelligent guesses to make your career better, why would then also you would have those physical challenges or even business challenges? Is it something that we are going to experience anyways? It's just that what we do to avert from it?
Yeah, the thing is this: when we say we chart our life, we are basically trying to look at our own lives to see what type of potential or so-called gifts that we have. But we still have to develop those gifts, right? You still have to develop. So nobody's like just born and suddenly, wow, I can do all this stuff, right? You have to learn. And learning requires you to experience, how things work. And when going through that process, obviously you will fail, right? But the question is, are we failing forward or not? Are we moving forward as we're doing it? So it's not so much like fate, right? The thing is, we have, like, for example, until now, I may not have fully activated all my full potential. I'm still working on it. I'm still a work in progress. Wow. So a lot of people would want to become better, but they don't make an effort to become better, right? So the whole idea of learning astrology and all that is to see, okay, what are you capable of doing and how far are you from that maximum capacity? Human beings are the only type of creature on earth that don't go to the maximum capacity. We go to where it's comfortable and then we stop. Right, so a tree will grow to its tallest point, but a human person is, it's comfortable. We stop already because that's comfort zone, right? So how to push the boundaries? We got to be able to fail sometimes. Right? Doing a business is not easy because there are many moving parts. Right, there's one part which is me, and the rest is the employees. Then you have the customers. Then you have the market condition. They got a lot of things. So being able to weave it all together, it's by itself a very difficult process. And so learning this requires time, and of course a lot of mentors that come into my life. I've been very fortunate to through Feng Shui and through this tool connect with a lot of business people. And as I'm doing Feng Shui for them, I also see how they run the business successfully. So I ask them questions, and they actually share with me a lot of ideas of how you can manage your staff, grow your business. Those days when I run a business, I don't even know about cash flow. I studied accounting, but studying accounting and doing it is two different things. Yeah. So when you got to understand, from these people, I learned that, the percentage of cash flow growth must be bigger than profit growth every single year. Now, I didn't understand that, but now look at this, the second recession I'm consciously going through. Like the first one was 97. I wasn't really aware of it. I know it was going on, but it didn't really affect me. The 2008, that one did affect, and I went through that. Now, when I see this, I manage my cash flow well, so the company is healthy. Everything is all right. Because if I didn't know this, even I know Feng Shui is of no use, because this is business knowledge that everyone must know if they want to run a business.
I think you made a very, very important point over there, which is a lot of people always just assume that Feng Shui is going to resolve all your issues. And everyone, everyone, even though you know Feng Shui and you don't have the skill sets or have improved, you probably will never know how to run your business. So
the Feng Shui will give you the energy to move forward. Like if you fail, you have enough energy to get up and do it again. So Feng Shui doesn't make a dumb person smart. That's the problem. Okay, so right, if someone is lazy, it cannot make someone become not lazy, right? So it's only going to help. But it's like that. Let's say Feng Shui can 10 times you, is 10x something. You got to be something to 10x. 10 times 0 equals 0, So if the person is lazy, it's just 10 times laziness. So it's not going to do anything. So generally, it's the person. It's most important is that human being. Now, if you look at degree of success, right? Feng Shui can give you a boost. For example, if you're doing really, really, like you want to launch a campaign, then Feng Shui can give you a 30% boost. But if you are not launching, the Feng Shui cannot make you launch. It's just nothing happens because 10 times 0 is 0, you know?
I remember that clearly that you stated that 10 times 0 is 0 last year in the FSA. And, you know, it'll be fantastic if I put everything is 10 times, 100 times of my effort. And if I can align the balance of the 30% of the Feng Shui, can you imagine the launch pad that I would be having?
That's right. That's exactly how it works. So Feng Shui will work much better on someone like you who is an achiever than someone who's not. So that's why, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's the human spirit is very important. Because at the end of the day, we are the center of everything that's going on, is how we respond to things, right? So Feng Shui is not the be all and end all to all problems in life. Sure. So we got to still be smart to be able to handle some problems, but with some good positive energy at home, at least you go home, you're happy, right? You're being with friends, you're happy, you can connect better, you have the motivation and inspiration and to move forward. So that is what Feng Shui can do. What it cannot do is make a lazy person hardworking.
Yeah, definitely. I think that always is always that way, right? And I think it's important to also note that as far as you are concerned, now you roughly know what's gonna happen, and you plan ahead.
I can make an intelligent guess, but we don't have it exactly written out in like in an essay of what's going to happen. We make an intelligent guess. Just it's just like at the end of the day, we look at it's like financial gurus will look at the charts and the financial in data to make an intelligent guess. So for us, we do the same thing. We just look at the charts and we make an intelligent guess as to what could possibly be the outcome, and then we plan, right? We plan to take action and make sure that the downfall is not so painful. That's all we could do. But as to exactly pinpoint events, that's the hardest thing to do in any field. It's even difficult for economists to do that. So and astrologers can only see a pattern, but they cannot pinpoint exactly what is the item.
Sure. Now, there's another thing I always notice that you do. They always say that great teachers are teachers who teaches people how to ask questions and not give them the answer. What I like that you always do is that whenever people come up to you, they will just ask you, will I become rich this year? And then you always tell them, hey, I think use a better way to ask the question, as in, what can I do to then optimize efficiently, effectively to become more successful and make 31 million this year by 31st December and effortlessly. So in what ways that you have designed or you have been able to identify that the best way to educate people is very much about them identifying the energy and the way to think?
The thing is gain clarity. That's the whole idea. A lot of people don't know that they are actually in control of their destiny. There's a difference between fate and destiny. So fate and destiny seems to be the same thing, but they are different, right? Fate is what happens to you. Like for example, you go to a bar and you meet the girl of your dreams. That's fate. What you do after you meet her, that's destiny. You choose, right? So a lot of things it's fate who given us a lot of identity, our ideas and all that. But what we choose to do with it, that's totally up to us. That's our choice. So the question is, learning metaphysics, this is what I call metaphysics, Feng Shui, astrology, is so that we can make better choices. But first you have to make the choice. Some people are so afraid of making the choice. So it's because you're afraid of making the choice, nothing happens. That's the problem.
Now, when I talk about all these choices that we make, right? You talk about when you first introduced the movie, the Red Cliff, I immediately went back to watch the movie to understand what Zhuge Liang did. Zhuge Liang, because I don't speak really good Mandarin. So I went and got the movie and I started watching both of the episodes. It was very much about him watching the timing. We have done everything we can. We're just waiting for the timing, right? So how do we then ensure that when the right timing is there, we can optimize our optics?
Yes.
How do we go about doing that? So how do we know when is the right timing for us to then be able to optimize our options to do better in life?
Okay, I think it's about being ready. The whole story about Red Cliff is about being ready, right? So yes, timing is very important, but had they not been ready, they wouldn't be able to take advantage of the time. And another thing about the Battle of the Red Cliff is about everything is cyclical, and never look at something as finite, even though you're at the face of danger. So a lot of times we feel that, just like now, right? The pandemic is happening. A lot of businesses, unfortunately, they are. I just met a business owner. I mean, he's so down, he's so depressed, and felt so powerless that he's just paying rent for no reason, and he doesn't think he can revive the business. But what I told him is this: sometimes you have to let go of something in order to start something new. So the whole idea of Red Cliff is basically this idea that when the timing is right, because you are prepared, when the opportunity turn out at a twist of a time, because of one thing, you can overturn the tides. So right now is the best time to get prepared. Okay, so during pandemic time, you get prepared, right? Learn a new skill, educate yourself, make the connections. This one you still can do, right? Yes, you cannot start the business. Not everyone can, but you can get prepared. You can acquire a new skill and you can start a new stream of, find new group of customers right now, or even get to understand what they want. Because a lot of times people, they think that they need to be, when the economy is all right, then only can do stuff. No, you can do a lot. Now you can talk to your customers, you can talk to your past customers and find out how else can you serve them. So these are something we all can do. So preparation. So when the tide turns at that moment, and it could be happening because there's a short period of time if our calculations are right between July and November, the period should be, there'll be opportunities then before the so-called the second wave might happen. During this time, you might do a turnaround. During this time, you might actually succeed, right? So there's all these small things might happen.
Now, if I heard you correctly, you kind of gave a little hint that there's going to be a turnaround from July to before year end November, around there. Is that what you're saying, that the second wave?
I see the energy, it's softening around this time. So it's around June to about November, around this time. And then the second big eclipse is happening in December 14 or 15. I can't remember the exact date. So normally when such energies are there, even if it's not the return of the COVID-19, it could be some other issues that could be challenging. So when we see challenges, and now, again, I cannot pinpoint exactly what the item is. We only know that, okay, there's a problem like this. So what should we do? Well, we got to take advantage of the July to November period to basically restart ourselves, get into revival stage before second wave, if there's a second wave coming. So we don't know what the second wave, it could be COVID-19, or maybe Trump does something irrational and then there's some silly war going on somewhere, that could be the issue, right? So in this whole fluctuation of the so-called financial crisis is probably going to run all the way until 2021. So we see this cycle happening and there's a window of gap. So what we do is we've look towards this window and plan what to do in revival. We don't go to revival and then do. We plan first. When the time comes, we take action.
And is that exactly what you have been doing with your team? Because I know you run a lot of different businesses, and of course, just like all business owners, everyone would have challenges, right?
Yes.
And what would be your own personal challenges in your businesses, and what did you do specifically to then either overcome or avert or pivot to what you're doing right now?
Okay, the challenge is huge for us. It is because while I'm very used to working from home, because I write my books and do my stuff from home, my team, I think about 60% of them or more are not used to working from home. So prior to the lockdown, we in our company, we had all the head of departments to do a simulation of work from home. Of course, they didn't take it seriously at that time. We did a simulation of work from home. What will happen if we need to work from home? So we did that. And so when the MCO came, we sort of knew what, not everything, because when it really happens, it's two other things, So theoretically, what we need to do. And that transition, the first 2 weeks was a little bit challenging because we got to get the other 60% to be okay and meet the deadlines and be able to deliver while working from home. So that was the biggest challenge. The other big challenge was, we are in events right now, and suddenly all the events, you have to either postpone or cancel. That is a big issue. And a lot of our team members, they are used to running live events, right? So transitioning to live stream was the challenge. So being able to convince the students or participants, hey, try live stream, that was also a big challenge. Until they did, then they enjoyed it, right? But prior to that, it's very difficult because everyone, no, I prefer to see in person, then you have this big issue. So that was a big challenge. And so it took us about a month before we could actually got most of these people on board. So, and the good thing is we did it very fast. We did like almost instantaneously. I remember doing 3 webinars immediately to test out the system. The 3 webinars I did it for free, but I wanted to test how it is to transit. And once we succeeded, then I launched a live event called Rise. And in that event, we started to do a live stream to it's like my usual event. And that's how we pick up. That was the pivot that we do. And we did it really, really quickly.
Yeah, I noticed that also. How much do you think is your leadership that has actually led the team to believe that it can be done so quickly? Because a lot of times that leaders are the biggest problem themselves, in the way they think, they behave, and their actions is that they're thinking that, I'll just take it easy. Let's have a 1 and a 2 month chill period. It will get back to normalization. So how much of that do you think is actually your reason for you being the leader of your team, for them to believe that it can be done? Or is it that you have calculated to show that, hey, we are Feng Shui practitioners, we know in intelligent guests, this is going to be coming back. We better be moving on. We better be doing something about it. Or is it really?
I think they all know how to calculate, so they know how to see, right? But seeing is one thing, doing is another. A lot of people know how to see, all right? Students who learn this also can see. Can see doesn't mean can do one, Yeah, a lot of people also know what to do, but doing what they know is a different story. Correct. So when this thing happened, I basically, I think my team is very good. I'm very blessed to have a good team. They are able to change a lot of from the cost center move to profit center. We meet every Tuesday and Fridays even until now. We have a town hall meeting where everyone meets online and we talk to each other, and we want to make sure everyone is on board. I think you can never less communication. You must over communicate. That's what happens when shit happens. So what we do is we over communicate. We keep talking to them, ensuring them and making sure that we help them to transit to be able to do their job. So because what some of their old jobs no longer exist already, cannot logistic how to do what live event no need to do it. So now we have to change. So some people not easy to change. You got to teach them how to change. So I think a lot of leadership is just basically coaching. If you can coach them to do it, they'll be all right. And if you have a good intention to help your team transit, I think they will follow. If you just tell them to do it, I don't think they will. But if you try and help them, they will.
I think in many ways, this pandemic is actually, if we look at it from a very positive sense of things, your cost of running events and then also charging the clients would have then be dropping a lot, because you don't have your accommodations, the venues, and a lot of unnecessary costs in that sense. Now the value can be given back to the customer.
Yes, I pass back the savings to the customer. So the prices of those large events are now cheaper, because now they just do it online. They don't even have to fly here. So in some ways, we're able to connect with people all over the world, because those days, my live events, they have to consider flying over to Malaysia. So in some ways, it's good.
Speaking about your international customers and clients from all over the world, I mean, you are definitely not a Malaysian name. You are definitely a world leading authority. And I mean, having 30 over countries, participants from all over the world, you used to fly to their individual countries. So it's very localized to their country. But how do you actually deal with the world global students at the same session? What kind of a approach or method that you actually take to then be able to relate to them and engage them as a business or as a speaker yourself?
I think I don't worry so much about how to say something more than how I want them to understand something. Sure. So because I'm not a trained public speaker, I think people probably think, hey, you speak on stage, you must have gone something. Actually, I've never gotten training on public speaking. But what I do know, it's speaking is just a matter of transfer of feelings. So if you can transfer your feelings, how you feel, and articulate it to someone, that itself is communication on stage. So whether you are from Australia or from the States or from London, people got feelings, right? So as long as you're able to connect on that level, they will understand. It's because sometimes our accent is not easy for an American or an Australian to grab that word, right? So, but if they can understand how you feel, so I like to speak with a lot of expression, as you've seen. So that helps us. So if you can just transfer how you feel to somebody, then you also focus less on you on stage, because a lot of people say, how do you memorize a whole day script? Actually, I don't have a script. I know what I want to talk about, and I want to make sure my focus is on that person understanding what I'm saying. My focus is on them. So I don't have that stage fright, because I'm focusing on them. But if I stand on stage and try to worry about me, about how I would say something, how I would look, then I will freak out, right? But if I worry about them, I'm not going to freak out.
I think it's amazing, a very simple understanding as to the way you do what you do. That's why it communicates. In fact, I feel that you're speaking to me alone when you are speaking on stage. So you are answering what I'm actually wanting to ask. Therefore, I don't ask questions. It's just that I also find that perhaps a lot of people find you impatient. But if I'm the one at your position, whenever people ask you, will I become rich this year? I will just two tight slap also, it's quite annoying. Just expect the Shui to do the work. So is it that over the years you have come to understand, have more wisdom? Because I was trying to explain to my
over the years, I got old. That's what happens. In my younger days, I would be more snappy in our younger days. But as I got older, I think it's a fun question to answer, right? So I don't get upset with it. It looks like I get a bit. I overreact on it purposely to show a point to the people that some of these questions, because when they see how I react to it, they will remember. right? To remember, oh, no, I should not ask it this way, right? So, but really at the end of the day, the people who come to an event need, for me, is that they need to leave the event knowing that they have understood something, they have gotten value, and that they can do something about their lives. If they just leave the event knowing they can do something about their lives, then I feel that I've succeeded. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think beyond the feng shui knowledge or the Pachi knowledge or the Jimen knowledge, I think the part I like best is always you don't just want to give them the solution. You want them to be empowered to then identify what they should be doing. Because if you don't need to tell you this, why can't you just do that? I think a lot of people just want to sit there, because I always observe the people sitting around or watching is like, why don't you just give me a damn solution? You know, I just want to move on.
But some people are like that. Some people would like to get the spoon fed. That's the thing, right? But they know that they probably won't get it from me, lah. Yeah, they would see it in a different way after I speak to them. And at the end of the day, they need to be able to fish themselves. I can't just give them a fish all the time. And what they need to understand is they need to be the one in control. And they also need to be the one in control of their own thoughts, of their own emotions, of their own body, because that belongs to them, right? When people come for a course or event and they ask questions like, will I be rich? It is because they feel that they are not in control. Because it's not in control, like everything is fated somewhere. Someone out there is keeping track of all the shit stuff they're doing, and like someone is keeping track of their karma and shit. There's no one keeping track of your karma. Karma is just basically your actions. So if you do something, there is going to be an action or reaction as a result of you doing something or not doing something. So no one is out there is going to have this book that says who does what, right? So my job is to let them understand you are in control of these actions, you're in control of these thoughts, you're in control of these emotions. As if you can align them, you could literally create miracles. That's all. That's the whole idea of metaphysics.
Now, the word that you just used is align them. And over the session, the 3-day session, you talk a lot about if you can really align the universe, the heavens, timing, the earth, and also the man, miracles can happen. Now, when you talk about that, is it things like businesses where we have Uber, we have like Zoom, we have like the companies that just exploded? Because in general, most businesses, entrepreneurs don't just have their businesses explode, even though they put in a lot of effort, they have the right team, but the timing is just not there. Is it really something like this for it to explode? Is that what we mean?
Yeah, I think first of all, alignment means that means you are in aligned with creation, right? What you mentioned, Uber and all these big companies, is about creating something that is extremely valuable to the market. And so if our thoughts, our emotions, our body, our energy is not aligned, we will not be creative. There will be no solutions if we have problems all the time. So if we want our businesses to be big, a lot of help also need to come from the environment, right? So if we're doing what we are doing right now, and we are aligned, somehow the market is easier to attract. It's always easy if money come look for you than you go look for money. Agree or not? Sure, so if you're more aligned, right? If you're more aligned, at least your message is clear. You get to that target group better. And that target group will understand you. So for me, people who are generally interested in self-improvement will find what I share interesting. Unless those people who are not interested in self-improvement, they think everything is about fate, then they will find what I say not match with what these people want. But that's okay. That's not my group. So I find that exponential growth happen for me when I have clear message, when I have this alignment, right? So, and I help a lot of other business people as well. They are so misaligned. Some are misaligned that it's very hard to know what they're trying to sell, right? And they can't connect with their customers. The customers who don't know what they're selling. So that alignment helps you grow. That clarity of what you want to create helps you grow.
Now, that I think is very important, because I read another thing that in one of your books where it states, millionaires don't believe in feng shui, millionaires, but billionaires do. And that really caught my attention. Why?
That's JP Morgan. That's JP Morgan. That's not what I said. JP Morgan said millionaires don't believe in astrology, billionaires do.
Okay. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, I've made my million. I thought I'm the reason for that. And obviously I want to go further. So obviously I have to learn more about feng shui. And that's why I started to understand more as to the alignment of everything that comes together, right? So,
Yeah,
so what?
I think for a lot of people, the word feng shui, it's because they have a preconceived idea. So I used the word metaphysics. It's more scientific because metaphysics is a form of science,
Sure.
and if it's basically alignment to you now have a certain level of success, which is great. All you have to do is amplify it, and feng shui or any of these metaphysics tools is a great amplifier. So now, when you have this energy with you, you're able to reach more people, connect to more people because you already have something good that you built.
Sure.
Suppose you don't have something good that you built, using this on you would not have created any good effects. Because like a kid, you go and do feng shui on the kid can, at most also maybe score an A in the exam lah, because the exam is what he's taking ma. But that's it already, because you cannot amplify something that is small. You know.
I never knew why I've always been such a positive person. A lot of people say you have so much energy and everything. For 44 years of my life, I have no idea why. I just always thought that I'm just like that. And then, of course, we have the DISC personality profiling and all the other profiling. Then I attended Iverson's the Pachi program, and then I realized that I'm a Bing Fire. So Bing
Just
Fire,
like sunlight. Yeah.
yeah, just like sunlight. So I sleep the night, tomorrow I come back, I'm again excited. So a lot of people don't understand that actually when we start to be grouped into certain groups of people, we start to see a pattern of how we function and behave. Is that what metaphysics is about, where the world was created for us to be grouped up into certain personality types or characteristics?
Yeah, I think there's so many personality profiling systems even in the West that people are not known, right? Like what you mentioned, DISC is a recognized system for personality profiling. So back in China, back in ancient days, they don't have DISC, they have astrology. So astrology was their go-to system for profiling a certain nature characteristic so that you can better deploy the use of your team, right? So like right now, a lot of companies use DISC or Myers-Briggs, right? It's a common system just to understand personality type. The difference is in Myers-Briggs and DISC, you have to fill up forms, right? And with astrology, you don't. You look at the energy pattern that is imprint in them. So you sort of understand people's basic nature, right? If you're paying fire, you have a certain basic nature of a yang fire personality. Okay, I'm a water person, so I have a basic nature of a water personality. So it's not neither good or bad. It's a question of how we can expand and grow once we understand our so-called identity. And also, it's very useful for people who have lost their identity, who feel very lost. Because once you feel lost, I don't know what I can do. I don't know what's my future like. I don't know how I can handle things. Then you must understand yourself a bit more. It's good to have a manual to say, hey, these are how your basic nature is. This is how you amplify your strengths. This is how you work towards your strengths. And this is how you become better. So there's a model to work based on that. Easier for people who are lost. But if you're someone like you who is not lost at all, no problem. You don't need it, right? But there are a lot of people who are lost who might need it. You see?
I noticed a lot of people were kind of lost when you asked that poll question. How many of you needed clarity? 80%. Yeah. That's a whole lot.
82%. Yeah, that was 82% people needed clarity. I didn't know that there's such a big problem with a lot of people. So I did an immediate class just to a short topic just to address that.
And I think it was great, because very much about give them what they want, find out what they want and go get it, give it to them, right? Yeah, I think it's amazing, fantastic. So there are a lot of people here, and there's also a lot of people always wondering, people thought feng shui relates to religion. Dato Alfred So, I think Dato Alfred with Datin Shirley.
Yes, very good friends.
Dato Alfred said people thought feng shui relates to religion. In actual fact, it is a study of energy or qi. So what we are saying is that even the Muslims, the Buddhists, the Christians, everyone is supposed to be able to experience this because it's metaphysics. It's a science form.
Yeah, that's why I'd like to use the word metaphysics because at least it changes the preconceived idea of what feng shui is, because people think that feng shui has to do something with religion. That's because a lot of Hong Kong movies back in those days, the feng shui guy is also a Taoist guy who catch vampires, Yeah. So that's the impression you will get lah, yeah. But it's far from that. And feng shui is nothing more but an energy study about understanding energy of your environment. And in fact, if you don't have to you go to any places, going for vacation, for example, it's about experiencing the energy of that place. Like you go to Santorini, you feel great. You sit there in front of the beach, in front of the ocean. There's some energy you got to feel, right? That's environmental energy, right? In some way. So if you work in an area, in an office or in a space that gives you the type of vibration that allows you to perform better and think better, then that's Feng Shui. Okay, that's just the tool.
I think it's great, and a lot of people will be watching and learning a lot of comments over here saying that, it's great learning, great sharing. Now, how do someone like me, for example, you just mentioned great energy and someone who knows I'm not lost. If I am lost, what would be the first thing that I need to have? Clarity? What kind of questions should I be asking to have better clarity in my life?
I think the first thing to do when you need clarity, it's observation of life, to observe one's own life first, right? So that observation allows you to understand you, to watch you from the outside. So you are trying to watch you. So you're trying to look at what happened in the day, right? So that's the first thing, observation. The second thing is basically a reflection of what went right and what went wrong. That breeds clarity. Because a lot of times we just go by in a day and we don't actually keep track, other than posting stuff on Instagram and Facebook, right? But what we post on Instagram and Facebook is just what we want people to see. But what truly, it's our own internal reflection of the things that happen. When we do more of that, we will gain clarity. Okay, so this is something that I think it's a practice. You can't gain clarity overnight. Like something like meditate and, I have clarity. No, you didn't. You just meditated, So if you really want clarity, you start with clarification of looking at yourself, observation of yourself. Then you know. And to mark down what events make you happy. What events make you not happy. What interests you. It's simple of writing it down because people don't know what makes them happy. So sometimes happy, some not happy, you don't know, cannot repeat. That's the problem, right? So that is clarity, is gaining the understanding what makes you happy. What conversations you had today that was interesting. And those conversations, and with who? What's the topics that you lighted up? So once we know that we can repeat it, that's clarity.
And for someone who's so clear, I'm a big kiasu. So I'm a person who never thinks that I'm having enough or I want to always do better. I am not contented. I want to do better in life. I want to do better financially, in relationship, in everything, because I believe that life is about us living it to the fullest of what we can make of it. It's our decision and our choice. Yes. So in addition to attending your programs, attending other programs from Datin Shilling Numbers program, I attend a lot of programs. I learn from stock market to property to business. I learn everything. And I am a person who do everything that the teachers all teaches. So when you say go and count 64 to 1, the hexagram, I follow and I do. And I start to see something happening because I'm a person who like to prove that all these things are bullshit. But when I start to see things happening, the evidential occurrences happening, it is quite unbelievable, but it is real. How does it actually really work? Why does all these things actually work?
That's what energy makes us do, right? How do we get ideas in the first place? Ideas also have to come from somewhere and then suddenly you get, correct? So when we start to connect with so-called energy or higher power, sometimes we're more open and receptive towards what inspirations are. When we see something, we get inspired. When someone is blocked, they get no inspiration. They see the problems all the time. Every time also stuck. But once you start to open up, you see, hey, everything can be an idea, can be a solution. And the more you're able to provide solutions, the wealthier you'll become. The more you have problems, the poorer you become. So it's very simple, man.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of people wonder, how do I get a lot of big names to come onto the Ernie Chen show? They didn't realize that to invite you to come to the show, it took a couple of months. And we never stop because our style is go for it until you get what you want. And we keep going at it. So a lot of people don't understand. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of patience to get to where they want to get to.
That's true. That's very true.
Now, some of the things that we can look forward to, like, for example, myself, the entrepreneur community, what would be 3 key advices that you would give the entrepreneur community out there? What are some of the things that they really need to do now, today, so that they can pivot and overcome this next couple of months so that this window of opportunity before the next wave that will actually come? What are the 3 things that we can be doing?
Well, the first and foremost thing is you need to get online. That is a must. Whether you like it or not, you don't have to like it, you just have to do it. Being able to get online and converse and communicate and connect online is the most important thing any entrepreneur must do. Now, if you're thinking that your business cannot go online, then you might want to change the model of your business. That's the first thing that I think it's extremely important. And number two, that all entrepreneurs can do is look at direction of the flow of money right now, because the flow of money has changed. Previously, before the pandemic, right, some of the businesses are booming, and then now suddenly they got in trouble. The direction has changed, right? The direction has changed to healthcare, for example, in tech companies and all that. So if you're not aware of where the direction of business is going, you're going to lose out on a huge market share eventually. Okay. And the third thing is, consumers or your clients' preferences has also changed. They used to be looking at long term, now they're looking at short term, because they are also going through transition. So if you understand their problems and pain right now, and you can provide you tilt your product or pivot your product and service towards solving this pain, you will be able to maximize your profits this way. So there are three things that I think it's very important for all entrepreneurs to take note of. And if they're not aware of this, I think they're going to miss out on a big opportunity. People talk about the opportunity, but not many people can do it. Because they talk about it, they don't participate in the opportunity.
And of course, we must not forget every other employees out there was so concerned about losing their job, or perhaps their stream of income may be cut off. What are the three things that these employees out there can be doing? Of course, I will tell them, attend your program, get direction roadmap to be able to get better direction, clarity as to where they should be heading. What should they be doing?
Right. Well, the first thing they need to do is make themselves indispensable. Yeah, because right now, and you could be dispensable, right? If you are just an employee and you're trying to just get by, this is the time where people become more transparent. Like for example, I would know what's happening in my staff's work right now, because there's online. I can actually talk to you and measure stuff. Right? So bosses are more connected with people right now. So you got to make yourself indispensable. That means your skill must double up right now. Okay. So the other thing you can do is to get into profit stream. The first thing you want to do is get into profit stream, because if you are making money for the company that you're working, that means you are in a position that is more important than those who is a cost center. So I know it's not easy, but it's something, if you want to secure your place, you need to do that. Okay. And also, as you are controlling a profit center, you have an opportunity to grow. That's where you can make more money, because some of these are on commission basis, right? The third thing you want to do is to start something on the side. That's called a side gig. So you have people have a lot of time right now, right? And most of them must spend watching Netflix series. Well, it's nice to watch the Netflix series, but that doesn't make you a better person. And some will say, no, in my lockdown, I actually learned a new dish. That's stupid. Or you learn a new dish for what? It's nothing to do with your job. So I would, learn something that is more related to me being able to translate it into a side gig or side income, because that actually allows me to transit, if need be, into my own business eventually. Because the world in the next era, it's more like a freelance gig economy. So most of the millennials will grow up by then, and they don't want to work for other people. They want to work for themselves. They want to work for, this style lifestyle. I work from home, in the flexi hours, right? Being able to make a lot of money through their laptop. Well, if you want to do that, you got to start now. Now would be a great time to start.
Thank you so much for all the sharing that you have done. I mean, such a quick time of 1 hour quickly have just passes by just like that. Now, before we sign off, I want people to experience the amazing, wonderful things that you do. I do not know how you do it, but you look at the achievement chart or the chart itself. In a very quick manner, you can just quickly look at it and tell people, oh, if you ask the right question, then you do this, then this is what you're going to get. So how do you actually do that?
How I do that? We learned how to do that as a formula to understand, because time, space, event, and matter. Time, space, event, and matter is basically a study to show at a certain point there's a configuration that could lead to a possible outcome if you do certain things. Okay, so when we look at the time chart, we sort of look at what energies the directional energy that is moving towards the outcome of your activity that you intend to do. So suppose you're going to launch, let's say, a new product, right? You're going to launch next month. You're going to time that cycle from now to then. We look at a chart and see what are the energies opposing, what are energies for supporting it. So suppose there's a lot of energies opposing this, that means there could be problems that are unseen. If you look at all businesses, right, they don't fail because they did too much preparation. They fail because of areas that they don't see coming. When you don't see it, it can screw up your business. So the whole idea of looking at those energy patterns to find out what don't I see, right? If I see it, I can prevent shit from happening. So that's what we do in that actual reading. So sometimes it could be a financial thing, sometimes it could be a leadership thing, sometimes it could be a product flaw. But most of the time, it may not be a product flaw because people spend so much time creating the ultimate product. Maybe it's a financial calculation problem. Sometimes it costs more money to sell than not to sell. So they're actually losing money selling every item, but they don't know that. So a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize that, and the chart can show that energy block in that sense. So my job is just to inform them, hey, you have not done this sort of calculations. Why don't you do it again? That's how we get the outcome.
I think you have just answered the question that I wanted to know myself also, which is sometimes we don't see whether there are certain energies that supports or is actually there to give us more problems. I think that actually is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I got one final question over here. Now, if Joey Yap went back to when you first started out, would you have taken this path as a young man who would have no idea that by going through this path, you have this optics for you to choose? Would you have gone through this path again to be able to do what you do? And from a rumor that I hear, which is being in metaphysics, the more you are able to tell people about their future, I'm not sure this is real, not real, you are actually reducing your own personal life. Is that true, not true? I do not know.
Okay, the first question you asked is if I go back, what will I do differently, right?
Yes.
I think there'll be a lot of things I would do differently because as a business, as an entrepreneur, there are a lot of decisions that have cost me a lot of money. So it's very important, expensive lessons. Now with the knowledge, if I go back, of course, I wouldn't go and waste money and then do a lot of those stupid things. That's one, right? But I'll still go on this path because I actually enjoyed it. I would have done the online selling much earlier than now. Okay, so that's one. And the other one is about shortening one's life. I think that's not true, lah. Yeah. So because that is what people say when back in old days, if you interfere with somebody's karma, they say that, right? But I found that that's not so true, lah. What interfere means that you're trying to harm people and you cause them problems. And then in some ways you have a repercussion because everything is cyclical, you see. So it doesn't shorten your life. But if you basically you don't have to be an astrologer or Feng Shui guy to do that. You go and piss off somebody else, someone will slap you. That's what happens. So right, it don't shorten your life. And so we don't have that worry at all.
And what's ahead for Dato Joey Yap? What's the future like for you and the Joey Yap group of companies over here?
Well, it's going to be fully online. That's why my direction that I'm going now. I quite enjoy working, remotely now from home and having a home studio and all that. I'm finding this to be the way in the future. So I actually don't have to travel so much and fly around and do events. And this would be the way. I'm still going to work this out. I believe that in future, this would be it.
Thank you so much, Dato Joey Yap. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been very fortunate and been blessed for 1 whole hour of sharing by himself over here. I think a lot of it is not about metaphysics, but really about life lessons of the decisions and actions that we can actually do. Thank you so much. It was so good talking to you for the past hour. I'm sure a lot of people will be more questions and want to find out more about yourself and also things that you have shared. Where can they actually find out more information or perhaps even come to one of your events and your programs online?
They can go to joeyyap.com and or they can search for my name on Facebook. They should be able to get to my page, and most of my announcements are done on Facebook. Some are done on Instagram. If you're an Instagram person, it's @joeyyap, so you can see, connect with me there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and look forward to see you in person and chat with you sometime soon. Thank you so much. Have a great evening and a great year ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye, Joe.